Guys, I'm preparing some rigging. What does that usually mean? Okay, probably overkill, but better to have too much rigging gear than not enough. And I've got other stuff already in the truck, so rather bring it and not need it. Hey guys, check it out. Yeah, new to the shop, tool day. uh, yeah, so it's an Enco lathe. It's a 12 by 36 that just picked up a few days ago from a estate sale that helping out with. It was a kind of a community public service kind of effort, if you will. I got contacted by Chuck Bomarito, outside Screwball, who was contacted by the executor of this estate that they needed to clear out the shop pretty fast because they needed to get the house on the market. And they had no idea where to start. So, you know, we helped out the family or the executor, getting things priced, making connections and that kind of stuff, and picked up a few things in the process. Yeah, and just to add, I've been thinking for the last couple of years of upgrading my existing lathes, going, you know, with something a little bit bigger. I am limited on space, so this was a nice fit. So everything just kind of fell into place. Anyways, enough said on that. Let's come in closer and we'll take a look at what we got and what we're going to do. All right, I thought I'd just first briefly talk about what we're going to lose by moving away from the south bin, because I'll probably end up selling this when we get the new one up and running. So the first thing, and this is probably the most painful part of it, is losing the taper attachment. Although honestly, I really don't use it that much. I've used it a few times, but you know, it's not an everyday thing that you use. The other thing is I use the collets a lot, 5C collets, and I've got the through the headstock drawbar. And the new one didn't come with that. There are options. I mean, I could do a collet chuck, or they do have a through the headstock style 5C collet setup. Although the factory one I hear isn't all that great. But anyways, that's another item that we're going to lose. The other thing is I'm going to lose my VFD control, which having a VFD is pretty nice. You know, you've got infinite speed adjustment. Oh, I hate to give up this nice Bison chuck. This thing is really nice, and the one on the other lathe is just the standard Chinese one. I could probably change the back plate, but I mean, this should really stay with this machine. The other thing is I have a lot of face plates, which will not be usable on the other machine. It does have a faceplate, but I've got quite a variety, although usually I only use like the 12-inch, that one, and then this one here. The other smaller ones I really haven't used, so not that big of a deal. All right, so here we go. So as we mentioned, it's an Enco 12 by 36 gear head. Okay, it's got a 40 speed quick change gearbox. It will do metric threads with change gears. We did not find the change gears, so either they were optional and they never got them, or they just got stored away someplace and no one's been able to find them. So I'll probably look into getting some change gears for it. It is a single phase machine, no power right now. D1 spindle, so that's a big advantage. Excuse the wires here, with the standard 4-way tool post. Okay, we'll talk about these wires in a second. It's a nice heavy machine. The ways are in really good condition. and they are hardened ways, which is nice. There's one little nick right there. I think it's subsurface. It might even just be a void in the original casting. It's a gap bed. The gap's never been out, and I probably won't be pulling the gap, but you never know. Okay. It's got a Morse Taper 3 tailstock, and it's got much more travel than the old South Bend. Okay. And it's a heavier machine than the South Bend. Okay. And then the weird thing is this stand, this wood stand that the guy had made. And actually it's built pretty solid, but I'm not going to use the wood stand. I did check. So Grizzly now sells this exact same machine, you know, with the Grizzly label. Encode doesn't sell it anymore. And they still have the metal stand available, so I'll probably just end up going that route, getting the factory stand. Okay, came nicely equipped. So it comes with a DRO, which is really nice, and the cables up here are for the DRO. Okay. Comes with a 4-jaw chuck. I haven't even opened it up yet. It's still in there. And then we've got the external chuck jaws for the 3-jaw. Okay. There's a steady rest underneath there. There's a steady rest and a follower rest. Okay. A box of miscellaneous things and a few little custom-made parts. These are the blue box. Did not come with the lathe. That's some other stuff. Morse Taper 3 drill bits there that were in with the miscellaneous parts with the machine. Okay, let's go around to the back side. Okay, around the back here, so it does have the bow door motor option rather than the Chinese motor. So it's a 1.5 horse single phase bow door. Okay, and then here are the scales for the DRO, and they are Accurite scales, and there's the one on cross slide. One thing I don't like is there should be a chip guard over this both scales, so I'm going to have to add that, and I'll probably take these off and make sure they're good and clean and properly aligned and so forth. Okay, same thing with this one up here. Okay, so he did make, or this is an add-on, so a cross slide lock, which is kind of interesting. It just kind of pushes against the side of the cross slide. We'll see how we like that. Threading dial. Okay, I'm not crazy about this threading dial. It's not the greatest. We'll see how that works. Here's something that I really like is the forward and reverse control. It's right on the carriage, nice and convenient. Okay. Now this is kind of funky. This metal scale on here for the compound. I would much rather see, you know, an engraved scale, but you know, I think this is the way most of the manufacturers are going these days. The dials are both inch and metric. I mean, they're not, you know, high end, but they're fine. All right, so the spindle is they spec it out as 1.5 inches, and it looks like that's correct. So 1.5 inch through hole on the spindle. All right, so advantages over the South Bend. Number one, it's a much heavier machine. Shipping weights are very similar, but if we look over here at the South Bend, a lot of the weight is down here and just in the base, in the cast bell here. 2 inches more swing, so every little bit helps. So more swing. Center to center distance So I'm picking up about 9 inches increase in center to center distance. Whatever wear is on this machine appears to be very minimal, if any. So, you know, that's a huge advantage right there. So much newer, tighter machine. Of course, the DRO is going to be nice. All right, so what do we need to do? We need a stand. Like I say, I'm probably just going to order the Grizzly factory stand and just go that way. I was thinking about trying to make one, incorporating some toolboxes, like, you know, maybe the like an end toolbox, you know, like this style here that I have under the bench. So, you know, maybe picking up a couple of those and you know, putting one on each end and building a frame around it and so forth. And the more I thought about it, I think I'm just going to get the factory stand. Just go that way. It is a bit pricey, but by the time you buy 2 of them toolboxes and buy some material plus your time, we need a backsplash. So the actual matching backsplash is available from Grizzly. It is ridiculously expensive for a piece of sheet metal. So I'm going to make my own backsplash. We're going to come up with something. So that'll be a project. Okay. The other thing that's kind of weird is this hole in the casting here. Let's see if I move the tailstock forward here. Go. So let's see if this shows up. So this is hollow right down into the foot of the bed here. So this foot, of course, is hollow, and the chips go down in there, and there's no way for them to come out, and the oil and everything else. Okay, so I'm going to make a sheet metal plate to cover this. I don't think it'll interfere with anything, but you know, I had to, you know, dig out a whole bunch of chips that were down in there. It's kind of a weird design. Okay, and then kind of a similar thing up here where the gap is. The chips were all packed in this little slot here, and they were also pretty well embedded into the fill and the paint. So I may make a sheet metal pan of some sort to hold or divert the chip flow down to this opening so they can drop down into the pan. I got to spend some more time cleaning. I just did you know, an initial cleaning. There's still a lot of nooks and crannies and so forth that I need to give a good cleaning to. I'll probably pull the cover off the gearbox and take a look and see if we need to do any flushing. I believe he already did the recommended flush because I see that a gasket's been made here. So hopefully everything's nice and clean inside. Yeah, so I think that's it for now. We'll do some videos on this. I'm just going to take my time. I got other stuff that I've got to take care of first, so it's just going to sit on here in the stand for a while. And I've rigged up these wheels here. This is actually a carriage, just the gray part that I use for the Bridgeport mill. This fits perfectly behind the back of the mill, and then I do something similar with one of these machinery skates on the front of the mill, and it makes it really easy to move around. So I just made this little trunnion pivot deal here so I can steer and move it around while I'm working on it. And I shot some video on that, so we'll take a look at that. Just a quick get her done project, guys. So I need to turn the head of this bolt down to 1 inch diameter and then take about 75 thousandths off the crown, off the top here. This should be the last pass, filming with one hand, turning with the other hand.
Watching through the camera. Just for you guys. I love those stringy chips. Oh yeah. Gotta love it.
Alright, let me switch hands and try not to drop the camera. That's good enough for what we're making. Alright, let me just face the crown off and put a little chamfer on there. Alright guys, here's the plan. I'm filming one-handed, so sorry about that. Here's the pin we just made, so it's going to go in there. So I can get it straight. There we go, like that. And that's going to go on there, like that. I'm just going to put a couple welds, nothing major, in case I ever need to take it apart. And then I got my homemade machinery skate here. That should go right on there like that. So that will be a bolster, so we can steer. And of course it's upside down right now. And you'll see in a minute what we're going to use it for. Alright, not the prettiest welds, but I think they'll hold. Okay, so this goes on here. Still a little on the warm side. Alright, so now we got a pivoting bolster. I think I'm going to make a spacer though, because we're really close to these wheels. And they're dragging just a little bit. Yeah, so I'll just make a little spacer plate just to bring it up just a hair more. You know how to operate that thing? Yeah. I'm trying to get some of the oil out of this wood. I mean, it is just totally saturated, but it just keeps coming. So you gotta just say good enough at some point. And on the lathe, I've been cleaning, getting all the chips out of this thing. It's looking a lot better. So yeah, just trying to get as clean as I can before putting it back on the stand. Now's the time to do it.